Chatter. Here we're going to talk determination, dedication, and trailblazing. That's kind of with a question mark. To the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly. And here's the thing, trailblazing with a question mark, because again, I think that goes back to, you're a trailblazer for some and kind of got an ego for others if you say that you're a trailblazer. You know what I'm saying? So we'll just keep it like ego neutral, I guess, if we
the crowd you're in.
Yes, exactly.
Speaking of, we got a good crowd today with Trey. What's up, man?
What's up, fellas? Good to see you guys, man. Thanks for having me on again.
Oh, no problem, brother. Well, last time you were on, we talked about lean solutions, talked about some of that stuff, and we know that you have Beta Consulting Group. So today we wanted to talk, sales strategies, determination, dedication. Like sales. Geez, I believe one of the toughest jobs on the planet. From a mental side than anything. Like if you're selling a good product, a good service, if you believe in the product and service, it's really the mental side you got to get over. I could tell you, I can't tell you how many operations people I work with, and I'm like, you should really do sales. And they're like, oh, I'm terrified of sales. I go, do you realize you're selling every day, all day? It's just not called sales, and there's no commission. And they're like, well, no, I didn't realize that. I said, well, think of it like this. Every time you book an order, every time you develop a relationship, that's a commission for the sale you just made.
Bingo.
And they're like, yeah, that's trailblazing. In my mind.
Yeah, okay. I think that and within an organization, everybody has to understand that everyone on the team is in sales, everyone on the team is in marketing, and everyone on the team is in operations to some extent. Like those are universal things that everybody pretty much participates in, even if that's not their title or their exact role. Because somebody in operations who's customer facing, every day they're reselling that service when they talk to a customer. They're reselling the company and the value that you bring.
It's a trifecta. Everything operates on the trifecta.
That's right. And in the end, we all have the same goal. Whether you're making the product, you're developing the product, you're designing the product, you came up with the product. It doesn't go anywhere unless somebody sells it. So we all got to sell it together in a way.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting you say that, DJ, because I agree with that. But then how many people in the company do just enough to keep their job? As opposed to accelerating, as opposed to trailblazing, right? And think about that. And, as we look at today's day and age, right? I mean, perfect example. Yes, COVID killed a lot of people, but the workforce doesn't equate to the death. So it's not like it was a plague that just wiped people out and there's nobody to work. You look at the workforce, the quality of the workforce, and what's happening today. And there's a big sign that people kind of want to do less, but they want more kind of scenario, right? I mean, I'm looking at signs going down the road where it's like $1,500, $2,000 signing bonus for a warehouse, like a dock worker. Oh yeah. Like $2,000 for a dock worker, like $100, $50 just for going to an interview at McDonald's. Just for going to the interview, they're going to give you $50.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, but then, here's why I think this conversation today is going to be a really good one, because we all sit there and go, wow, but think of the trailblazing they're doing. So if you're the first one to come out with that, right? $50, you're going to get a lot more people through. Now, what are the end results of it? I don't know. I'm not, I don't work at McDonald's, but to see that, Royal Distributing, a company that does all like aftermarket snowmobile, motocross parts, that kind of stuff. They were offering $1,000 signing bonus for retail, like somebody just to sit behind a cash or to stock shelves. $1,000 signing bonus, right? And you think, okay, like I'll take it. If you need work, you're like, okay, I'll take the $1,000 signing.
You know what's crazy though? If you do the flip side of that and you think of it that way, so we had Steven Schmidt on, and he offered his employees money to just if they weren't feeling it and wanted to walk away. And I've heard a lot of other employers doing that as well. So if you think, and that ties right into what we're talking about, dedication. I mean, I think that on
Oh,
both
because
sides.
Steve had said at the beginning when he first hires somebody. That's right. You're right. He says when I first hire somebody, was he giving him like $1,500 or something? Like, listen, it's not going to
I
work
think
out. Like,
Steve,
they hadn't even been there 3 months.
I seen Dan Price, who owns I think it's like Gravity or something, one of those payment. Yeah, and he has a meeting and offers them like two or $3 grand. Like, if you're not happy, you want to leave. And
like, is that at the beginning when they first come in?
No. I think it's just throughout. I don't know. I don't really know when they're doing it, but they're offering it at some time, maybe a meeting or something. And I think it's crazy. But it's showing dedication.
Well, yeah, I think that would that not, and here's a great question. Would that show dedication to keeping the culture the way he wants? Because we all know one infection in your culture can create a virus that spreads through your company and it just kills everything. So is that more dedicated to keeping the culture alive and keeping the happy employees happy? I mean, there's a lot of questions that can be asked about that dedication piece. Like, let me ask you guys this. Let me ask you gents this, because I think it's time to play in the sandbox here a little bit.
Yeah.
What is dedication to you?
I'll start. Yeah. Dedication to me would be, commitment to the task at hand with excellence. So, it's really two things. Like, when you know what you're supposed to do, like, you know what your job is, whatever it is in your role, it's a commitment to doing that with excellence and doing that consistently. So I would add a couple of keywords in there. So commitment, excellence, and consistency. It's a commitment to doing your job with excellence and being consistent about it. To me, that's dedication to the work that you have in front of you. If you can do that, I mean, imagine all your employees were committed. They were, they were focused on excellence and they were consistently doing that. And that'd be pretty awesome.
That's good. DJ?
I like that. Dedication to me is really, in the end, for me. I mean, Trey probably used the greatest words to break it down. So dedication to me is really being able to persevere through everything. So if you have a goal, you are laser focused on what your target is, and we know the right choices, wrong choices, but staying on that regardless of where we get knocked off. That's dedication to me.
Yeah, people who are dedicated aren't going to give up when it gets tough, because we all know that, like, you start something new, it's exciting, and then it gets tough sometimes, or there's challenges in it. Not giving up on that, and something I'm focused on right now, because I'm historically a really good starter. I'm good at starting stuff, whether it's reading a book or a house project or whatever it might be. And right now, I'm really focusing on the word finish. Making sure that I'm a finisher. And if you think of being a finisher, then that dedication is kind of built into that, right? I mean, you can't be a finisher without being dedicated to something that you are doing.
I love it. Yeah, absolutely.
For me, dedication is every day getting better than yesterday. And really, when I dwindle that idea and that I mean, take business, personal, everything out of the way, I think as humans, as people of great desire, that anyone that has an ambition, a dream to do or achieve something, you have to become better every day. And whether it's small incremental steps, but every day you got to just raise that bar a little bit. And if you do, one of my mentors once told me, walking towards your goal actually creates that motivation to continue. It's when you get stagnant, and that, I hear you, Trey, when you say you're a great starter, because a couple of years ago, I had to start working on that as well to finish, because I would start jobs like around the house, construction jobs around the house all the time. And it would be those finishing steps, just that one little piece of trim in the corner that sat there, not there for like a year. Cause it's like, oh, it's just one piece of trim. I'll get to it in a second. It takes 3 minutes. I'll get to it tomorrow, or that like one bead of caulking or that, and it's just, it was that finishing. I can remember when I started the first project of my first outdoor kitchen outside, my wife was saying to me the whole time, looks great. Are you going to finish? And I'm like, I finish. And she's like, no, honey, sorry, you don't. And I'm like, and of course, then your back gets up, right? You're like, well, what do you mean? What do you mean? She's like, well, bing, bing, bing. And I'm like, oh, I just like somebody popped my balloon. And I was like, oh, geez, you're right.
Shit, the old checklist just keeps getting longer. longer
the honeydew list is like the Kris Kringle list at Christmas, where you go, just kind of goes and rolls all along the floor.
My wife's really good about being organized and keeping track of all that. So thankfully, I mean, without her, the whole house would be completely unfinished at all times. But to get back to what you're saying, I like what you said, and I thought about this, like think about working out. Like I'm not a morning person, man. I'd rather work out in the afternoon, but sometimes I don't have the time in the afternoon. I have to get up in the morning and do it. And I heard this one time, this made sense to me. And I try to think about this a lot. I heard somebody say it's much easier to act your way into feeling than it is to feel your way into action. Mm-hmm. What they mean by that is, if you just get up and just say, just go downstairs, get your shoes on, go downstairs and get to the gym, which is where my gym is. This is my basement. So if it's just like, get up, get your shoes on and get to the gym, then an hour later, I feel great. I'm really happy I did it. I'm thankful I did it. Like you never regret going to the gym. That's not one of the places you go, dang, we shouldn't have done that today. Like you never feel that way. But if you just base it on feelings, like when you're in bed, like I'm not a morning person. I like to sleep till 6:30, 7 o'clock every day. That's just my kind of my cycles. But if I got to get the workout in, I got to get up at 6:30, and it's just not, it doesn't feel good. Right. Yeah. So I have to act my way into feeling instead of feeling my way into action. Because if you feel your way into action, you'll probably never do it. Right. Mm-hmm. So being committed, being dedicated, act your way into feeling.
I love, and that's the 5 second rule. That's the Mel Robbins, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you just do it. So whatever you think or you have to do, just do it. But Trey, talking about working out, you have that Tough Mudder. Is that what you're getting ready for? Is that the workout?
Yeah. This is actually pretty exciting. So it gives me a real reason to stay in the gym, which is great. But, I've got my Friday podcast focused on transportation logistics. It's called The Word on the Street. It's at noon every Friday, noon Central every Friday. And one of the guys in there, his name is Greg Roberts. And he's like, hey, let's do, anybody want to do a Tough Mudder together? And I was like, it sounds like fun. I prefer races that have obstacles in it because it breaks up the running. Like I hate to run. Mm-hmm. It's not fun. But if I'm breaking it
well, and it gives you something else besides like even in the gym, you start an elliptical or something and you do 30 minutes on an elliptical. Like that is so boring after about 45 seconds, right? So breaking things up is awesome.
Right. So right now I'm practicing, obviously running, I'm up to 5 miles right now in a single run, which I got to get to 9 because it's a 9-mile race with 30 obstacles. So there's a physical training to it, like working out, doing push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, all those good things, plus the running side. So it's cool. But anyways, to get back to the race. So Greg said, hey, let's do a Tough Mudder. And I was like, sure, that's cool. And there's one right here in St. Louis. So we signed up for it. And then it was like, man, this would be really cool if this could be more than just a race, if this could be a team event, and if could be something that we could raise money for. And I started thinking about, well, who would I raise money for? Like, who would I partner with? And pretty instantly, it was easy for me to figure that out. So I've got a good friend. His name is Jeff Combs. This kid was in my youth group when I was a youth pastor. So he's about, 10, 12 years younger than me. And after high school, he went to the Marines. And then while he was in the Marines, he got injured. He was in a motorcycle accident and he was paralyzed from the waist down. This happened in 2013. And he struggled, man, for like 4 years. Just, you can imagine his whole life was flipped upside down. He was this really strong, physical, athletic guy. The world was, at his fingertips and future unlimited. And then all of a sudden, now he can't walk and he's in a wheelchair and he's trying to figure out how to live. He's trying to figure out how to take a bath. He's trying to figure out just all these things with legs that don't work. And he was depressed for a long time. After about 4 or 5 years, he came out of that depression, which was so cool. And he said, you know what? I want to help other wounded veterans who are feeling the way that I feel. And I want to give them community and culture and feel like they can do things again. So he started this organization called Battle Buddy 3 Gun. And what they do, it's a nonprofit organization, 501c3. What they do is they take wounded veterans on these shooting drills, like in wheelchairs. There's somebody pushing them and they're getting to shoot these different weapons and targets and go through these obstacle courses. It's really cool stuff. They take them like scuba diving and other places as well, awesome, just to get these experiences. But every event that they put on costs about $4,000. And this is completely voluntary for Jeff. I mean, it's just, he doesn't get paid for anything for this, but he wants to do it. And so it was pretty easy for me to go, you know what, I'd love to bless that guy. And we're trying to sponsor 25 events. So you do the math, we're trying to raise $100,000. It's a big number. It's one of those big, hairy, audacious goals. Like it's kind of crazy. And when I first said it, everybody I said it to on the word on the street was like, what? Like that's, like they were probably thinking like 5,000. I don't know. I just got in my head like, you know what? If we could do 25 events, there's 10 guys event, we could impact 250 guys just to give them a sense of community and bring them together. So we're trying to raise $100,000. It's a lot of money, but I know there's companies out there that like to give, especially to wounded veterans who wouldn't mind dropping $4,000 and sponsoring an entire event. I know there's individuals that might only be able to give 10, 25, $50. That's cool too. But anyways, I'm excited about this. It's April 30th. So for information on that, all you got to do is go to my website, betaconsultinggroup.com/events. And all the information is there. You can sign up to participate in the Tough Mudder with us, which we want that. We'd love to get a team. We've got about 8 people right now that are going to participate. We'd love to get that to 15, 20. That'd be cool. We're also having a weekend event. So people are coming into St. Louis on Friday night. We're having dinner at my house. The event is on Saturday morning. We're all going to kind of recover on Saturday night, maybe do something on Sunday as well. So it's an event as well, kind of a weekend event. You can sign up for that. And then you can also click on the link to the GoFundMe to give. And it goes directly to them. Like, doesn't go to me or my company or anything. It goes directly to Battle Buddy 3 Gun, because all the proceeds, we want to go to them. We want to sponsor 25 events, $100,000, and make that happen. So if you're listening to this, whether it's live right now or on the rewind, please go to the website, check it out, give a little bit. It'd be awesome. We'd love to hit that goal as a group. betaconsultinggroup.com/events. Thank you for letting me plug that. I really appreciate it.
No problem. And when is the event again?
It's April 30th. So we still have about 6-7 weeks. So even if you want to participate, there's plenty of time to start training a little bit. We're not trying to break any records. If you're in any kind of shape at all, you can probably, pick it up. And again, like it's 30 obstacles, 9 miles. So if you break that up, it's like you run 3 blocks and then you do an obstacle. Then you run another 3 blocks. An obstacle, and we're not like trying to break any time records. So
then you get a defibrillator, run 3 miles. That's right. Oh, actually, one of the events is typically like a defibrillator. I remember it was like these ropes coming down, and they were electrified, and like it's kind of like giving you little shocks. Yeah. It was actually
this is my first time,
and then it leads right into this huge rope kind of this rope ladder thing that you got to climb. Like it was
some mud pits you got to run
pretty
through.
Insane. Up and down mountains,
crazy,
but it's cool. Yeah.
Now, if you don't want to participate in that, you can still come to the event, because it's actually held at a wine cellar called Cedar Lake Cellar. So you can have a drink, have a good time, and cheer us on if you don't want to participate in the event. But it's going to be a great weekend.
Oh, there you go.
Sweet, awesome. Well, you know what? We're happy to help you plug that, brother, for sure.
Yes, please. So everybody, check it out if you do want to donate, or reach out to Trey if you didn't catch any of that.
And that actually dovetails, great into the topic as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I agree.
Trey, when you're getting up in the morning, you've got an end in mind, right? And
a team,
a team, an end in mind. There's that mentality, right? Like you need to be that anchor for your team, and if everybody on the team wants to be that anchor, you're gonna have a super strong team. And part of the way I see a lot of these things is salespeople don't have an end in mind. They're like, I want to make money. I want to have a career, but it's like, what? April 15th or April 30th,
April 30th. Yeah.
April 30th. Yeah. That's the event. That's the deadline. Leading up to that, you're at 5 miles now. You got 4 miles more to go to get your run in, because it's 9 miles. So you have all that criteria as starting with the end in mind. That. Stephen Covey, God bless him. It was, that was probably in his book is probably the biggest thing, is starting with the end in mind. And not very many people do. There's often a saying, and I know we've probably all heard it, where people spend more time planning their vacation than they do their life. Because we wake up every day and it's just this, Groundhog Day, and it's this month, like just go through the motions. But having that in mind, April 30th, you got 9 miles, you got obstacles, you have all of these pieces of the puzzle, and you say, okay, so how do I get there? I'm at 5. Now I have my starting point, my ending point. I know what I have to do in between, right? And that probably on the days you don't want to get up, that's probably one of the things that drives you, whether subconsciously or consciously, drives you to the next gate. Right?
Absolutely. Not only that, but we've got a group text for the team. And this morning at about 6:15, my phone started blowing up because Greg already got his run in, and Hayden was starting to work out as well. And so it's like, I better get up and get this knocked out, right?
Talking about Hayden, I was going to put them. I was going to put a post out there. Hayden, if you're listening, brother, you got some great filters going on your pictures, because I know that shit ain't just a straight picture. You got some good photography work going on.
Yeah, Hayden's very creative.
Yeah, just even when he had his fish and the shades and everything, like the filters he was putting on it, however he was doing that, was pretty cool, man. So I got to give you a shout out for that.
Creative, and he's definitely a trailblazer as well. He's somebody who's and speaking of that, let me throw this out there. So anybody who's in sales, I would encourage you to do this. Speaking of the end in mind, is think about what you really want in your life, and whether that's to reach a certain level financially, whether that's to reach a certain position in the company, whether that's to reach a certain ability to go provide for your family, or to go on a trip, or to participate in a hobby, whatever it is. I would encourage you to start talking to your sales leader and to your executives about that. Put that out there and ask them to help you figure that out. Because again, a lot of times people are afraid to throw goals out there. They're afraid to say what they want. But if you do that and you're working for a great leader, they're going to be like, okay, cool, let's try to figure that out. Like for me, for example, I want to play amateur golf. I want to start playing in some events, but that requires that I take, some days to practice and obviously to go participate in the events. Golf happens during the day. It doesn't happen at night. And it usually happens during the week, not on the weekends, because that's when the course is the cheapest for the tournaments to host them. So like if somebody's in my shoes and wants to play competitive golf, but they're just like afraid to mention that. Like, I think if you went to your sales leader and said, man, I really love to figure out how to get some extra time and some money so that I can participate in golf. Can you help me make more money and become better organized with my time so that I can make this happen? Right. And when you do that, you start to invite people into your dreams who care about you and help you find ways to do that. I remember one guy who was working for Dave Ramsey down in Nashville, Tennessee, went to Dave Ramsey and said, man, I really want to make $150,000 this year. Can you help me figure that out? And so he and Dave sat down and said, okay, well, if you want to make $150,000, that's this much a month in commission. Okay, to make this much in commission, you need to make this many sales. To make this many sales, you make this many phone calls. Do you think you can do that? Are you willing to do that? And he broke it down, right? And the guy's like, yeah,
the key word right there.
Because he saw that. Yeah, he saw that goal that he wanted, and he was shown how to do it. And he's like, yeah, I'll do that. I'll put that in. So it's like this Tough Mudder. To go 9 miles and 30 obstacles, what do I need to do? My back's got to be strong. My arms have to be stronger just to be able to, go through 30 obstacles. My abs have to be strong again. So when I'm working out, I'm thinking about what I need to accomplish my goal. And in sales, it's the same thing. You just go to the people who care about you and who are able to help you, who are responsible for your success, which a leader, that's their job. They're responsible for your success. And so you go to them and tell them what you want and work together as a team. And that's how you're going to reach levels that maybe you didn't even think were possible. But you got to voice it first. You got to be willing to do that. And then
and Trey, that's dedication.
I love that.
Right? That's the dedication part that so many salespeople don't. I'm not going to say they don't do, but they don't think of. Right? Like how many? Okay, so let's put it to you this way: before you had that mindset, or in your career, how many salespeople have you met that don't really have a goal, that coast? Like I've been in logistics almost 29 years now. Like I'm telling you, I have seen oodles. I've been that person on many occasions where it's like you get to a point and it's like, yeah, that's great. I didn't have goals for, almost 2 decades of my career. I had no goals. Yeah. None. Yeah. None. I knew I wanted to make money. That to me was like, oh, I got a goal. I want to make money. Well, what does that mean?
How much?
Where is it? What is it? What am I willing to do? And until I started tracking, and here's the thing. As sales reps, it's like, well, I just got to make more calls. But what you said right there was key. In order to sell this much, you have to make this many calls. But how do you know what that is? If you don't understand your conversions, if you don't understand where your prospects fall off in your sales cycle. Like if you don't understand all of this and you're not willing to put in the time, and I think that's the key to dedication, is dedication isn't just, 9 to 5, 8 to 5. Like, are you up at night practicing your pitch? Do you look at yourself in the mirror and practice your pitch? Do you role play with friends and buddies and practice your pitch? Do you, I used to say record your calls, but I know that's not really, it's frowned upon now. But back in the day when they had those, I don't know if you guys ever used them. It was that suction cup that would go onto the actual phone and it would record a tape. And I used to record all my sales calls. And then I'd listen to them on the way home with a tape recorder. And I'd listen to them and I'd be like, okay, I sucked there. Like, man, that was brutal. I'm never going to say that again. But that's dedication. That's how we get better. And again, that's striving to be better today than I was yesterday. And I was going to strive to be better tomorrow than I was today. But that takes work. It takes effort. And again, unfortunately, the majority of people out there, and I say this with all due respect to everyone watching and listening, but the majority of people out there just will never do what it takes. That's why there is hundreds of thousands of books, millions of books on the market about sales, about wealth, about success. Every one of them are awesome books. And probably you only need one if you study. You look at Bob Proctor. Bob Proctor studied Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Yep.
The man changed millions of lives, made hundreds of millions of dollars, created a hugely successful company. One book. That was his Bible. But you know what? He took the information and he applied it and he worked and he worked and he worked and he believed in himself. You look behind me, you see all the books. We all talk about books. DJ, you've read hundreds, thousands of books. Trey, you've read hundreds, thousands of books. I've read hundreds, thousands of books. I still don't even think the three of us. we might consider ourselves trailblazers. We might consider ourselves professionals, but I'm sorry, we don't utilize that information to its maximum ability.
No.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'll call the three of us out. Don't care.
Yeah.
Right.
There's,
it's the difference between being in sales and being a sales professional. Like doing the work to be professional. Think about like a baseball player, professional baseball player. They do things that those who don't get to the pros don't do. They're taking the time to get the extra swings in, to get the reps in. They're taking the time to eat healthy. They're taking the time to sleep. They're taking the time to do I think of Derek Jeter, the ultimate professional. I mean, that guy didn't mess around. Like, he was there to win championships and to be one of the greatest shortstops of all time in the Yankee pinstripes. And that's the difference between being in sales and being a professional, is, the intentionality behind it. And when you set goals, I think it's important to have kind of these targets, these things that you want to achieve, and then work yourself backwards, like you said, to the process goals, because the process goals are what matter. I remember Oral Hershiser, the pitcher for the Dodgers back in the day, he said, if you focus on execution and not results, you can't help but succeed. And him as a pitcher, he's thinking about just executing a pitch. It's all he's thinking about doing. He doesn't care if the guy hits it or if the guy misses it or doesn't swing at all, because he can't control that. All he can control is executing that pitch to the best of his ability. And he said, if I focus on that and the guy hits it, tip your hat. What are you going to do? Right. But I'm going to keep just trying to execute the right pitch at the right time based upon what's called, all those kind of things. I think back to my door-to-door office supply sales, my very first sales job. I used to be a teacher, right? So I go from being a teacher to being a door-to-door office supply salesperson. It was rough. Like, it was a shock to the system. But I remember my sales manager, who I'm excited. So my sales manager was Melissa White, and she's going to be on my podcast, my Standing Out podcast here next week, which I'm super excited about. I haven't talked to her in like 11 years about this stuff, 12 years. Oh, wow. But anyways, she was so good at breaking it down. Like in that industry, if you close 2 deals a day, you were good. If you close 3, people were asking you what the heck you're doing. Like, you were great. All right. So think about that. 2 deals a day, 3, you're really great. And in order to do that, you had to hit at least 50 doors, and sometimes more, because just the law of averages. Sometimes it's just going to be more than that. And so she would teach me the tricks about how to get to 50 doors in a day. And we only had about 5 hours out in the field because of training in the morning and drive time and all that we had about 5 hours to hit 50 doors. So we had to hit 10 doors and try to qualify and then try to sell and get to 2 sales a day. And so when you start to think about those numbers, it was a lot easier when I got to door 4 and it was a no, because I knew that I had to get to 50 to get to 2 on average. So when you know kind of the metrics and you know what you're trying to shoot for, it's a lot easier to push past those obstacles, those challenges, those defeats, if you will, and to keep going. And I also I learned this, that business owners are busiest. A lot of times, small business owners are busiest during the day because they're working in their business. When do they actually have downtime to talk to a sales rep? A lot of times it's the end of the day. So if you get to the end of your day and you're just like, man, I don't want to make one more phone call, or I don't want to, hit one more door, man, that's when I got pumped up, because I knew the guy was probably actually available now to talk to me. And so 4 to 5 was that power hour where a lot of people would give up and say, oh, it's been a bad day, I haven't gotten anything. And I would go and I would hit 10 more doors and try to find those business owners who are done with their day, who are actually able to talk to me. And a lot of times the gatekeepers are gone because they've gone home already. So it was even easier because I didn't have to get past the gatekeeper. I just had to get the owner to come open the door. So when you understand those metrics, those things, and you become a professional, it changes the whole game, and you focus on those processes and you push past all those obstacles, because if I just do this work, I'm going to get to my goal. It changes everything.
Did you ever try, speaking of trailblazing, did you ever try just starting at 3 and going to 6?
I did not do that because we had some parameters, unfortunately.
Okay. Because I'm wondering if, you said something very interesting there, right? Is when there's downtime to talk. We did a huge survey with shippers and receivers, and like that 10 to 12 for the majority of them was like, yeah, I've put out the fires for the morning. I'm kind of preparing for the afternoon. So I've got this lull between 10 and 12. And then between 3 and 5 was kind of the 2 main times that they said. And it'd be interesting, and it'd be probably a pretty cool thing to try for anyone out there. If 4 to 5 is your power hour, then 5 to 6 is going to be, to me, is going to be that killer hour, because owners and people that are dedicated don't just stop at 5. They're there. And I found, like, for me, I'm connecting with CEOs. Yeah.
East Coast goes later. In the Midwest, people go home at 5 and have dinner.
Okay.
Depends on where you're at. But you're right. If you're East Coast, 6 or 7 is actually very, very possible. That's true.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing is I've often looked and thought to myself, how do we connect with people at the time that's good for them? And so like I do a lot of CEO connections. I connect with a lot of CEOs, and I'm finding the most results between 9 and 10:30 at night.
Yeah,
right.
I
So
can believe that.
knowing your audience, knowing your demographics,
Mm-hmm.
you just totally brought it right to the forefront. Knowing your geographical desires, right?
Yep.
Are you, far East Coast PEI kind of area?
Yeah.
How do they operate as opposed to California, as opposed to, North Dakota, then, Missouri, where you are, right? So you are, like you everywhere is different and people are going to respond differently. We got Jeff, actually that rolls a lot. So Brian says, I don't know why that's not showing. There we go. Operators make great sales reps. I started in ops. That's, big cat call out to yourself there, Ryan. Yeah, not a boy. Way to go. The question is why? What are companies doing wrong that make their employees want to leave or turn possible candidates away? That's a good question,
Culture.
Jeff. It is.
Culture.
It's culture. And you know what? I think it's also paying attention to, kind of the dollar before the person, right? Nigel says, the only way of achieving your goals in sales is through helping others by the help from others. Yes, absolutely. How you sell is why you win. That's a good one, brother. Yes, all right. Have a good day to you too, Jeff. Business calls. There we go, brother. See?
See, motivated.
Right in there. Motivation. Get it done. So Trey, thanks for being here, brother. Always awesome to have you, man. Yeah, always great to hear your strategies. I think, lot was kind of on the table, a lot for people to churn over in their heads today. Cause it's, hey, I mean, that dedication piece, man, it's, we all have bad days. We all have those days we don't want to do anything. It's, I think in those days, just like what you said, that power hour that, you've been told no all day long, and it's like just one more.
Keep going. Just push yourself. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, hey,
thanks for having me, guys. Good to be with you as
Trey,
always.
thank you for joining us again. And again, everybody who did join us live, thank you. Just to kind of wrap up on the dedication, Trey, you brought up about goals, and I think that the biggest thing is clarity on your goals, being super clear on your goals, and the determination. Dan Millman, just to throw in an extra quote, dream big dreams, take small steps, connect the dots along the way. And I think that connecting the dots along the way is that dedication. But again, thank you guys for everybody who did like and did join us live. If you didn't, like and subscribe down below. We are live Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. till 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Start your day right with us. Again, thank you to our sponsor, American Logistics and Centurion Trucking, and to our special guest. We know you got a busy day. Hey, again, check out Tough Mudder. Guys, if you want to take on the 9 miles and the challenges,
let's go. Let's go.
Join Trey. If not, just donate to the special cause. And the quote to take us out is by Nathan Morris, and it's, "The speed of your success is limited only by your dedication and what you're willing to sacrifice."
I like that.
I would change that to invest. Remember we talked about that last week? Not sacrifice, invest.
Invest.
That's a positive spin on it. That's a positive take on it.
I like it.
To the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversation.